After narrowly missing a spectacular shooting star press during the main event of WrestleMania 19, Brock Lesnar showcased his resilience by rallying back and ultimately defeating Kurt Angle to claim the WWE title. The following week, it was announced that a WWE Championship tournament would take place, with the winner earning a coveted title match against Lesnar at Backlash. Among the participants was an up-and-coming John Cena, who had his knee shattered by Lesnar just months earlier. Despite the setback, Cena fought his way to the finals and emerged victorious by defeating Chris Benoit. When their match started, Lesnar gained the early advantage, but Cena turned things around by hitting a low blow on Lesnar. Cena then attempted to use a steel chain, but the referee confiscated it before he could execute the move. This interaction allowed Lesnar to capitalize, delivering his devastating F5 on Cena, ultimately retaining the WWE Championship.
Immediately after Randy Orton gave the fabulous Moolah an RKO on her 80th birthday, he made it his mission to take out every wrestling legend in sight. In the following weeks, Sergeant Slaughter, Booker T, and Rob Van Dam all fell victim to the self-proclaimed legend killer. And next on Orton's list was the wrestling legend Mick Foley. Orton already had a long history of bullying Foley, and thought it would be easy to defeat the hardcore legend in his signature match. But in the weeks leading up to the event, Foley started to get more crazy and slipped into his alter ego, Cactus Jack. This was bad news for Orton, and when it was time for him to fight at the Backlash pay-per-view, he was clearly unprepared. Orton got hit in the face with a barbed wire bat, thrown back first into a bed of tacks, and even tossed off the top of the stage. But to everyone's surprise, he was able to endure the pain and fight back. Foley almost ended Orton's win streak that night, but at the end of the match, Orton gave Foley an RKO on a barbed wire bat and picked up the victory.
After Big Show tried to end Rey Mysterio's career at the 2003 Backlash pay-per-view, Brock Lesnar challenged him to the first ever stretcher match for the WWE Championship. The objective of the match was to incapacitate your opponent enough to get them on a stretcher and roll them across the finish line for the victory. At one point during their historic matchup, Brock Lesnar disappeared backstage while Rey Mysterio returned from injury to get his revenge on Big Show. Mysterio hit the 619 and immediately went for a running clothesline, but Big Show was able to overpower him. Once it looked like Mysterio was going to be put back on the injured list, Brock Lesnar drove back to the ring with a forklift, climbed to the top, and delivered a flying clothesline to Big Show. After hitting his devastating F5 finisher, Lesnar got creative by using the forklift to carry the 500-pound Big Show across the finish line for the victory. But this wouldn't be the end of their rivalry. During their rematch 1 month later, Brock Lesnar hit a superplex on Big Show, causing the entire ring to implode. There was no one scarier than Kane after he unmasked in the summer of 2003. The Big Red Machine set Jim Ross on fire and even gave Linda McMahon a tombstone at the top of the Monday Night Raw stage. Kane's actions did not sit well with Linda's son, Shane McMahon, so he returned to WWE to attack Kane and knock him into a dumpster fire. Kane ended up surviving Shane's brutal attack, so the two were booked to face off in a last man standing match at the Unforgiven pay-per-view. After a brutal 20-minute match, McMahon ended up losing after missing an elbow drop off the Unforgiven stage. Shane was hospitalized after his death-defying move, but Kane still showed up to continue his attack. When Shane eventually recovered, he trapped Kane in a limousine and crashed it into the side of a semi-truck. After Kane survived Shane's second attack, the two were scheduled to fight in an ambulance match. Then, after another grueling 20-minute match, Kane was able to secure his second victory and end their feud by incapacitating Shane and trapping him inside an ambulance. When Goldberg entered the 2004 Royal Rumble at number 30, it looked like he was going to win the match and main event WrestleMania 20. But WWE Champion Brock Lesnar decided to spoil those plans by interfering in the Rumble and giving him an F5. This led to Kurt Angle officially eliminating Goldberg from the match. Chris Benoit would go on to win that year's Rumble and challenge Raw Champion Triple H the very next night, so SmackDown was left without a #1 contender. Paul Heyman solved that problem by booking a 15-man Royal Rumble, and the winner would get a title match against Brock Lesnar at No Way Out. Eddie Guerrero was the final man standing after eliminating Kurt Angle and booked his title match for the pay-per-view. 2 weeks before the show, Raw general manager Stone Cold Steve Austin gave Goldberg a front row ticket so he could get revenge on Brock Lesnar, and that's exactly what he did. Just when it looked like Lesnar was going to retain his title, Goldberg interfered and gave him a spear. This allowed Eddie Guerrero to get the victory and become WWE Champion. Shortly after winning the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21, Edge got distracted by his new girlfriend Lita and entered into a feud with two of her ex-boyfriends. During these rivalries with Kane and Matt Hardy, Edge competed in a steel cage, ladder match, and stretcher match.
Fighting in all these crazy match stipulations put a lot of wear and tear on his body, which caused him to get injured near the end of the year. But Edge wanted to stay relevant during this injury, so he created his own talk show segment called The Cutting Edge, and used it to start a feud with Hall of Famer Ric Flair. After Edge got cleared to wrestle, he was scheduled to have a match against Flair at the upcoming New Year's Revolution pay-per-view. Edge would lose his return match by disqualification, but his night was far from over. While John Cena was recovering from his title defense in the Elimination Chamber, Mr. McMahon came out and announced that Edge was cashing in his contract. After 2 quick spears, Edge pinned Cena and won the WWE Championship for the first time. Following his grueling victory in a hardcore match against Mick Foley, Randy Orton set his sights on defending the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. However, just a month before the prestigious event, Edge made a stunning return from injury and managed to dethrone Orton and become Intercontinental Champion. With his aspirations of competing at SummerSlam hanging in the balance, Orton's sole opportunity to secure a spot involved winning a 20-man Battle Royale to become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. Against all expectations, Orton emerged victorious in the match, earning himself the chance to face Chris Benoit in the main event of SummerSlam. At the beginning of their match, it seemed that Benoit would successfully defend his title. However, Orton gradually gained the advantage, turning Benoit's cross-face into a devastating RKO. Orton secured the distinction of becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in WWE history. However, Orton soon discovered that occupying the top position came with its own consequences. Triple H and the remaining members of Evolution betrayed Orton by attacking him. Making a stunning comeback as the 30th entrant in the 2008 Royal Rumble, John Cena proceeded to secure victory by outlasting all others and eliminating Triple H in the final moments of the match. Cena conveyed to Orton his impatience for WrestleMania and opted to seize his title opportunity at No Way Out. However, during Cena's championship opportunity, Orton intentionally slapped the referee, resulting in a disqualification. This tactical move caused him to lose the match, but successfully retain the title. On that same night, Triple H secured his status as the #1 contender to Orton's title by winning the Elimination Chamber match. On the ensuing Raw episode, John Cena displayed his prowess by triumphing in a non-title bout, thereby securing his opportunity to challenge Orton alongside Triple H at WrestleMania. Notably, Triple H wasted no time in making his intentions clear to both contenders. However, it was Orton who had the final laugh, executing a devastating punt on Triple H and cunningly stealing the victory. After Big Show threatened to throw Torrie Wilson off a 20-foot ledge, Kurt Angle attempted to reason with him. However, his efforts were met with a brutal chokeslam that sent him crashing to the ground instead. Once Kurt Angle recovered from his injury, he sought revenge by targeting Big Show with a tranquilizer and shaving his head bald. This audacious act set the stage for a match between the two at the No Mercy pay-per-view. In the initial moments of their match, Big Show demonstrated his dominance, leaving Kurt Angle with no choice but to get himself counted out. However, Teddy Long ordered Angle to resume the match or never wrestle on SmackDown again. After Kurt Angle reluctantly returned to the ring, Big Show maintained his relentless dominance, leaving Angle struggling to find an opening. However, a fortunate turn of events occurred when the referee was knocked down, creating an opportunity for Angle to attack Big Show with the steel chair. Despite Angle's effort, it proved insufficient to secure a victory. In the closing moments of the match, Big Show chokeslammed Angle from the top rope and pinned him for the win. After severing ties with his manager, Paul Bearer, by entombing him in concrete, The Undertaker shifted his focus to a new goal, challenging JBL for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. However, during their title match, JBL cunningly provoked The Undertaker into getting himself disqualified. In retaliation, The Undertaker unleashed his fury and chokeslammed JBL through the roof of his limousine. Despite JBL's attempts to avoid a rematch, Teddy Long eventually booked them to face off in a last ride match at the No Mercy pay-per-view. The match was a relentless back and forth with non-stop action, and just when The Undertaker seemed to gain the upper hand after chokeslamming JBL through the announcer's table, Heidenreich suddenly attacked him. Taking advantage of the chaos, Heidenreich placed Undertaker inside the hearse, allowing JBL to secure an unexpected victory. But the humiliation didn't end there. Paul Heyman drove the hearse to a parking lot where Heidenreich slammed a car into it, causing a giant explosion. The week after Brock Lesnar defeated Kurt Angle in a 60-minute Iron Man match, Vince McMahon held an official WWE title presentation to congratulate the new champion. But shortly after Lesnar started his victory speech, The Undertaker crashed the party with Stephanie McMahon, who announced Undertaker as the new #1 contender. A furious Vince McMahon immediately demanded Stephanie to retract the championship match, and when she refused, Vince booked the two of them in the first ever father versus daughter I Quit match.
If Stephanie was to lose, she would have to step down as SmackDown general manager, and if Vince was to lose, he would have to resign as WWE chairman. Vince started the match showing no mercy towards his daughter, but it didn't take long for Stephanie to find a weapon and return the favor. The SmackDown general manager almost won the match a couple of times, but Vince was able to regain the upper hand and choke out his daughter with a lead pipe. Stephanie's mother was watching all of this unfold at ringside, and when she couldn't handle it anymore, she threw in the towel. This ended the violence, but gave Mr. McMahon the victory. After getting his head shaved at WrestleMania 23, Mr. McMahon wanted to destroy Bobby Lashley's career by taking away his ECW championship. So he booked Lashley to defend his title in a 3-on-1 handicap match against Team McMahon at the very next pay-per-view. And during the title match, Team McMahon's numbers were too much to overcome. After Umaga executed a devastating Samoan splash on Lashley, Mr. McMahon tagged himself in to get the pinfall and become ECW World Champion. Over the next 4 weeks, McMahon took every opportunity to flaunt his new title, but Lashley would eventually win it back at ECW's signature pay-per-view. McMahon spiraled into a deep depression after losing the title, which led to a Mr. McMahon appreciation night in an attempt to cheer him up. But at the end of the night, McMahon entered his luxury limousine and it exploded into a million pieces. The entire wrestling world began to mourn the former CEO. But a week later, McMahon had to open up Monday night after an unexpected tragedy.
When Mr. Kennedy made his debut in the summer of 2006, he took out every opponent put in front of him and eventually won the United States Championship. After his title win, he told general manager Teddy Long that he's beaten the best SmackDown has to offer, and there's no one left to beat. But Teddy reminded him he's never faced The Undertaker, and he would for the first time at the No Mercy pay-per-view. Kennedy won the match by disqualification, and their first blood rematch at Survivor Series. Undertaker was given one final shot to beat Kennedy at the Armageddon pay-per-view, and this time, they would face off in a last ride match. The objective of this stipulation was to throw your opponent in the back of a hearse and drive out of the arena. In the early moments of the match, it looked like Kennedy was going to pick up the victory, but Undertaker emerged from the driver's seat and chased him to the top of the Armageddon set. Undertaker attempted to go for a chokeslam, but Kennedy was able to reverse it and throw him off the top of the set.
When Triple H returned to Monday Night Raw after a 4-month hiatus, he immediately betrayed Ric Flair by hitting him in the face with a sledgehammer, and continued the assault backstage, which lasted through an entire commercial break. The following week, Triple H explained to the WWE Universe that he had take the horse behind the barn and pull the trigger after Flair became a shell of his former self. When Flair returned, he told everyone that he would get his revenge at Taboo Tuesday, a pay-per-view where fans got to vote on the match stipulations. The 3 options to choose from were submission match, 1 fall to a finish, and steel cage, which ended up winning with 83% of the vote. In the early moments of their match, Triple H busted Flair open and got him into the figure 4 leg lock, but Flair was able to fight back and return the favor with his own figure 4. At the end of the match, Ric Flair brought a steel chair into the cage to incapacitate Triple H, allowing him to escape with the upset victory. After being chokeslammed through the ring by Big Show in the first ever barbed wire cage match, JBL managed to officially retain the title by being the first to escape the cage. However, his celebration later that week was short-lived, as the new #1 contender, John Cena, launched a surprise attack on him. This incident led JBL to take drastic measures to ensure Cena's downfall, making him lose the US Championship and even destroying his customized belt. Cena attempted to retaliate, but Teddy Long issued a warning that if Cena laid a hand on JBL, he would forfeit his WrestleMania match. However, if JBL physically provoked Cena, then Cena would be allowed to retaliate. Cena attempted to provoke JBL by vandalizing his limousine. This led to JBL having Cena arrested 1 week before their WrestleMania showdown, which provided him with an opportunity to deliver a low blow to Cena as a part of his calculated plan. But Cena would get the last laugh at the end of their title match, as he managed to pin JBL and claim victory, becoming WWE Champion for the first time in his illustrious career. After Rob Van Dam won the second ever Money in the Bank ladder match, he decided to cash in his WWE Championship contract against John Cena at the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view. RVD knew that the ECW crowd would give him a home field advantage, and that was put on full display when John Cena made his entrance to the ring. Cena traditionally threw his t-shirt into the crowd, but this time fans kept throwing it back in the ring. After 20 minutes of back and forth action, Cena accidentally knocked out the referee, allowing someone in a motorcycle helmet to interfere and spear Cena through a table. The mystery man was revealed as Edge, and the crowd immediately broke out in a "Thank you, Edge" chant. RVD then hit a 5-star frog splash on Cena, and Paul Heyman made the 3 3 count to make RVD WWE Champion for the first time in his career. This became one of ECW's greatest moments, but unfortunately it was short-lived. Less than a month later, RVD would lose the WWE Championship to Edge, who went on to feud with John Cena for the rest of the summer. After Kane helped Mr. McMahon win his buried alive match against The Undertaker, he called his brother a coward at the funeral and said he was happy to never see him again. Kane's next goal was to become World Heavyweight Champion, so he entered the Royal Rumble in hopes to become the new #1 contender. But during the match, Undertaker's signature music played, which led to Booker T eliminating a distracted Kane. Over the following weeks, Kane repeatedly insisted that The Undertaker was dead, only to be met with various paranormal incidents. After Kane couldn't handle the mind games any longer, he challenged The Undertaker to show up at WrestleMania so he could put a permanent end to the madness, and the dead man responded by violently shaking the ring. When Undertaker finally showed up in person at WrestleMania 20, he didn't come alone. He was accompanied by his druids and manager Paul Bearer. Kane could barely believe what he was seeing, and Undertaker proved to him that he wasn't a ghost. After a violent beatdown and a vicious tombstone piledriver, The Undertaker picked up the victory and got revenge on his brother Kane. After banishing The Undertaker from WWE by defeating him in a tables, ladders, and chairs match, Edge redirected his attention towards marrying his fiancée, Vickie Guerrero. However, their wedding ceremony was cut short when Triple H revealed that Edge was involved in an affair with the wedding planner. This revelation prompted Vickie to reinstate The Undertaker to face Edge at SummerSlam inside Hell in a Cell. During the match's initial stages, Edge used his specialty TLC weapons to gain the upper hand and then speared Undertaker through the cell wall to the outside. Then Edge executed another spear through the announcer's table, but it still wasn't enough to secure the victory. Undertaker was able to fight back using his own arsenal of weapons and sealed the deal with a tombstone piledriver. While The Undertaker was making his exit, he saw Edge still moving on the Titantron. This prompted him to re-enter the ring and execute a decisive chokeslam, sending Edge off a ladder and through the heart of the ring.